5 companions get a hereditary transformation after an episode during an interdimensional travel. Might they at any point actually return to their old ordinary life? How about we figure out in the film? In the year 2007. A youthful Red Richards imparts to his group during Profession Day that he needs to be the principal individual in mankind's set of experiences to magically transport himself. Being a virtuoso early on, Reed centers around quantum science and instant transportation innovation. He certainly lets the class know that he's right now fabricating his own personal instant transportation machine, called Biomatter Transport. Ben Grimm is the following one to be called front and center to share his fantasy vocation. On his way forthcoming, he sees Red compassing various conditions in his journal. Soon thereafter, at the Grimm rescue shop, Ben finds Red attempting to search for a power converter, saying that he really wants it for the biomatter transport. He then offers to show the machine to Ben in the event that he allows him to have a power converter for nothing. Showing up at Reed's carport, which is his ongoing studio, Ben chooses to help him in completing the machine. After setting up the finishing touches, Reed starts the machine and uses a mini car toy as a test subject. To Ben's surprise, Reed successfully teleports the mini car toy somewhere else, but his success also causes the power supply in the neighborhood to short circuit, leading to a blackout. Years later, at a science fair, Red and Ben, who have become best friends, present their new version of the teleportation machine, now called Somatic Matter Shuttle. According to Red, this upgraded version of the Biomatter Shuttle can not only teleport things somewhere, but also bring them back. They show a live demonstration to the panel of judges using a model plane Red borrows from a child. The first phase of teleporting the toy has no problem. But as they get it back, it causes a small power surge, breaking the glass of the basketball ring. Reed tries not to mind it, but the panels still disqualify them. Luckily for them, everything is not yet over for their project reads, and Ben's machine catches the attention of Dr. Franklin Storm, a scientist and the director of Baxter Foundation, a government-funded research institution. Together with Franklin and his adopted daughter Sue. After inspecting the machine, the scientist reveals to the two that they are also sending test subjects to other dimensions. Franklin explains that sending things to other dimensions is the easy part. Yet they never manage to bring those things back. And this day, Reed just did what they couldn't. The scientists congrats him for cracking interdimensional travel. Red cannot believe the other dimension thing because he thinks that they're just sending the test subjects somewhere on the planet. Just then, Sue shows him a test tube containing sand that is the same as the sand he found on the plane model earlier. She states that they already analyzed the sand repeatedly, but nothing on Earth matches these particles. At this moment, Franklin offers Reed a full scholarship at the Baxter Foundation. The next day, Ben helps Reed move into the foundation and gives Reed his utility Swiss knife as a present. He appears to be somewhat disappointed that Main Red gets a grant, yet still feels pleased with his closest companion. Inevitably, Reed goes over Sue at the library. He attempts to begin a discussion with her, his #1 book, Chief Nemo, however it turns out poorly. Sue assumes that she thinks modifies his creation for notoriety, to which he denies and contends that what he needs is to have an effect. Sue then, at that point, calls him Commander Nemo, empowering him to pull out all the stops and leaves. Franklin is having a gathering with the board about the endeavor to assume at New World. He makes sense of that, assuming that they access this new world, they can utilize its assets and perhaps figure out how to save their own planet. However, after examining the records, Dr. Harvey Allen, an administration researcher, sees the name of the man named Victor von Destruction and questions it. For reasons unknown, this Victor once consumed Franklin's information servers prior to leaving him. However, he's actually able to give the man another opportunity since Victor has a ton of potential. Promising that he will by and by regulate Victor, Franklin guarantees the load up that they will arrive at the new world. After the gathering, he goes to Victor and attempts to select him to the exploration group. At first, Victor declines, yet after realizing that Sue will be important for the group, he adjusts his perspective. Back in the Baxter establishment, Reed, Sue and the others start working on a monstrous instant transportation machine in light of Reed's plan. Taking a gander at the outline, Sue expresses that during his trials before he was tearing an opening in the texture of existence, which can cause a dark opening and could swallow the whole planet. Hearing this, Reddit. Happy that it won't ever work out. In a little while, Franklin and Victor show up, seeing that to peruse, and Sue follow them and find Victor examining understands drawings and conditions. Franklin acquaints the two men with one another and tells Red that Victor is the person who began the venture. There. Sue and Victor show Red a picture they took from the other world previously. Franklin lets them know that this new planet can be utilized to save their own. Yet, Victor doesn't feel that the Earth should be saved. Being the warrior he is, Sue calls him Dr. Destruction. Thusly, Franklin calls attention to that the slip-ups of the old ages can be fixed by the new ages. Also, this new world is their opportunity to improve the Earth. Obviously, the three youthful prodigies feel free to. Be that as it may, Victor maintains that them should be the group to go to the new world. Elsewhere, Franklin child Johnny Tempest is contending in an unlawful vehicle race when he's going to when the motor of his vehicle detonates and he collides with an electric post. A little later, his dad gets him from the clinic. Once more, still in dismay that Johnny is hustling inside the vehicle, that the squabble over Johnny squandering his capability to what is indicated by his dad are silly things. Because of that, Franklin lets him know that he won't get his vehicle back except if he works for him. Last year, with no other decision, Johnny accompanies his dad to the Baxter establishment. Right now, the entire examination group is at last total. Step by step, they all buckle down. With Reed and Victor on the plan, Sue on the suit creation and Johnny on the development. Over the long haul, the four start to bond also. Particularly Reed, who's actually new to the gathering since Suit Johnny and Victor definitely know one another. At long last, the day that the group at last wraps up building the instant transportation machine has come, and they call it the Quantum Entryway. Soon thereafter, Red sends an image of the machine to Ben, saying thanks to him for all that he has accomplished for him. After that, he and Sue discuss their own life. Seeing this, Victor gets desirous and says that he is being amateurish. Yet, his temperament changes after hearing Reed says they're now gotten done with the arrangement of the Quantum Entryway. The following day, Harvey and the board showed up at the Baxter establishment to observe the live exhibit. For the primary natural test, they utilized the monkey as a guinea pig and find in the video feed what the other world they call Planet Zero seems to be. Upon the monkey's fruitful return, interdimensional travel utilizing Quantum Entryway is shown to be compelling and safe. Harvey then, at that point, compliments the group for making the machine. Be that as it may, incredibly, the public authority will send individuals from NASA for the undertaking, rather than the makers perceiving how disheartened they are. Dr. Franklin guarantees them that he will persuade the board to alter their perspective. At the point when Sue follows her dad, the three men stow away from the others to drink. As of now, Smashed Reed persuades Victor and Johnny that they ought to go to the next world and leave their imprints there before any other person does. To honor the absolute first individual who assists him with building his fantasy reviews, Ben to go along with them, who not long after shows up at the establishment and suits up along with them for the campaign. As the four men get into the cases, Sue, who's been working in the workplace, gets cautioned that the Quantum Entryway has been actuated. She quickly goes to the lab while advising her dad about the circumstance. In any case, when she arrives, the four men are now magically transported to the next world. On Planet Zero, the four men are in wonder after stepping on this world's soil. Interestingly, at the point when Reed and Ben set up the American banner, the ground breaks a bit and they see a shining approval underneath it. They then keep an eye on where Victor thinks the energy is uniting. After realizing that they need to go down a precipice, Johnny chooses to remain at the top to be the anchor as the three move down. There they see a green magma-like substance. Putting his hand close to it, Victor finds that it's answering an actual boost. As Victor lowers his hand further, the substance detonates, making the ground emit. The three men run back to the rope and climb quickly, with Johnny supporting their loads. In any case, Victor falls holding tight the rope. Red attempts to pull him up, however the ejecting green substance arrives at Victor. As it spreads over Victor's body, Red coincidentally relinquishes him. To exacerbate the situation, the substance liquefies off his rope, making Victor fall down to the surface. With no different choices, Peruz and Ben keep climbing, and alongside Johnny they return inside their cases. In any case, the re-emergence isn't working, so Reed can't send them back to Earth for. Luckily for them, Sue simply gets their signs back and helps them by physically superseding their re-emergence. She effectively magically transports them back, yet not before Johnny capitulates to blazes and Ben is hit by rocks. The effect of their return causes a shockwave that wrecks you and makes power outages the entire city. At the point when Reed recaptures awareness, he quickly sees Johnny consuming. Along these lines, he begins searching for Ben, however his legs are stuck by a point of support. As he hears Ben calling for him, Reed creeps toward his closest companion's voice. He arrives at a heap of rocks, believing that Ben is nailed down inside. Red vows to get him out of there, yet when he thinks back, He sees his legs surprisingly extending from where they're stuck by the support point. Stunned, Red blacks out once more, the following day at Region 57. The researchers are presently analyzing Peru's extended body. When Reed awakens, he quickly begins searching for his companions. He bit by bit gets close to home, so the researchers makes him nod off once more. Simultaneously, Franklin comes to see his youngsters. In the first place, he is brought to Sue, who is moving all through the apparent range. The beneficial thing is her vitals are steady. Then he sees Johnny, who's actually consuming. At the point when Johnny awakens, he begins to frenzy and delivers a blast. He sits up, seeing his dad checking out at him with "feel sorry for." Somewhat later, once more, Reed awakens and hears Ben calling for help. With everything that is in him, he diminishes his arms to their ordinary length and goes through the vent. Glancing through the bar, incidentally, the mishap during interdimensional travel gives them exceptional capacities. Afterward, Harvey visits Ben and maneuvers him toward feeling that Reed has deserted them. Then he says that the Public Authority and Region 57 can figure out how to fix what has been going on with them. Be that as it may, consequently, they will require assist with their administration. After a year having the option to control their capacities much better now, Ben, Johnny and Sue have become extraordinary devices for the Public Authority. Particularly Ben. Harvey examines this with the Pentagon and proposes another quantum entryway project, planning to transform the US military into any semblance of Ben, Johnny and Sue. At Region 57, Johnny and Sue quarrel over how they ought to manage their freshly discovered capacities. Johnny needs to involve his powers for something valuable, such as participating in various missions like that. Yet, Sue accepts that they ought to simply wait and stand by before they sort out, directing out that she doesn't need to be treated as a device. In the interim, Harvey shows up with his companions from the Pentagon and shows them the quantum door. There, he acquaints them with Franklin, who's currently expressly directing the methodology consistently. Seeing the machine and individual, the generals at last consented to give their help to the venture in return for using Ben and Johnny more on the field. Hearing this, Franklin could do without the possibility of the Public Authority involving any of his youngsters as simple apparatuses. Because of this, he converses with Sue and advises her that they need to see his perused at the earliest opportunity, since he's the one in particular who knows how to make the quantum door work. The sooner they enact it, the sooner they could find a remedy for them and their lives will at long last return to ordinary. Persuaded, Sue starts following Peruse's computerized engravings to track down an example. She finds that he has been gathering salvaged materials and continuously keeping himself refreshed about Ben. In the wake of setting up music, she calmly hangs tight for Peruse's next move. The scene then, at that point, changes to him purchasing one more metal piece by transforming his face to appear to be unique. Perused has been unreservedly going around without anybody remembering him gathering salvaged material is to fabricate his very own quantum door. In any case, when he utilizes a PC, Sue figures out how to follow him since he's utilizing the codename Commander Nemo. After that, Area 57 sends a group to catch Red immediately. At the point when he gets cautioned of the approaching gatecrasher, Red rapidly hurries to the forest. He gets cornered right away. Yet, the officers don't understand that Reed knows how to use his capacity to battle, making them battle to get him. In any case, to understand shock, they then, at that point, send Ben to get it. He attempts to account for himself to his companion, yet Ben won't tune in and gives him a headbutt. On the plane back, Red apologizes for leaving Ben, and the others. Reed guarantees that he will fix everything except for reasons unknown. Ben realizes that Harvey would rather not fix them. The Public Authority likes them better when they have their capacities, since Ben and the others will be more helpful as a weapon. At the point when they show up in Region 57, Sue converses with Reed and persuades him to assist them with fixing the door, letting him know that this is the opportunity for his work to have an effect. He at last consents to help. Furthermore, makes the quantum door to work very quickly. During the instant transportation preliminary to Planet Zero, Reed and Johnny see each other once more. What's more, not normal for Ben, Johnny has no worries for Red. As the team ventures out to the next world, they see a man moving toward them, and it's, in all honesty, Victor. Every one of them are astounded that he figures out how to endure that long on Planet Zero. The team takes care of Victor and Harvey orders them to return to Earth immediately. As Victor is inspected, they find that his suit is now melded with his body. Harvey lets him know that they will deal with it and help him in return for him letting them know all that he realizes about Planet Zero. As per Victor, the spot keeps him alive and gives him colossal power. All of a sudden, he clairvoyantly kills everybody in the room. A short time later, Victor goes out and kills everybody in his way. As the alert goes off, Ben sees Reed and inquires as to whether he's attempting to take off again. To his Red says no. On the opposite side, Johnny and Sue run over one another and begin searching for their dad Franklin, who is really attempting to prevent Victor from returning to Planet Zero right now, yet Victor has no plans on remaining. All at once Johnny and Sue show up and observe how he kills their dad. Reed then shows up at the scene alongside Ben, attempting to converse with Victor, who basically clairvoyantly pushes him away. In his withering words, Dr. Franklin reminds his youngsters to care for one another. When Victor shows up at Planet Zero, he begins overburdening the quantum entryway to make a vortex that will pull all that from Earth to the next world. Furious about his dad's demise, Johnny flies to the entrance to Planet Zero, and Sue makes a power field around her, Reed and Ben, so they can get up to speed. Perceiving how the vortex functions, Peruse concludes that the matter from Earth is being changed over into energy. The best way to close it down is to stop the actual source, which is Victor. Johnny and Ben assault independently, yet Victor doesn't equal break a perspiration in that frame of mind down. He covered Johnny with more modest shakes and mud to kill off his fire, while going after greater rocks to twist, making it difficult for him to move. In the interim, Sue makes a gigantic power field that keeps the trash from Earth from falling into the quantum entryway. Seeing this, Victor additionally sands in more modest rocks to distinguish where Sue is stowing away. As the particles immerse the power field around her, the weight makes her fall. Reed endeavors to work Victor out of it once more. However, he's not tuning in and advises Red to call him Destruction, spreading the green substance to Reed's body and making it free like old elastic. Sue then, at that point, attempts to go after Destruction straightforwardly, yet he simply nails her down utilizing his capacity. Seeing his companions enduring and biting the dust, Reed gathers up his solidarity and recovers control of his body. He goes after Destruction and loses him a precipice. At the point when Destruction ascends from the bluff, Ben tosses him an enormous stone as an interruption. Then Sue traps him inside a force field where he capitulates to Johnny's blazes. Similarly, as Destruction escapes Sue's force field, Reed participates close by to hand battle with him. Also, to Destin's shock, this is simply one more redirection as Ben, with the assistance of Sue, emerges from intangibility and punches Destruction to the quantum door. What's more, for the last piece of their assault, Johnny breaks every one of the points of support, making Destruction be transformed into energy. Seeing that their arrangement worked, them four quickly return to Earth before the entry closes. After the episode, they get appreciation from the Pentagon for saving the world, who likewise needs to keep their current relationship, yet the four needs to go free from here on requesting a huge space to deal with. They create another Baxter building. All of a sudden Reed feels that them four ought to have a hero group name. The film closes with them concocting the name Incredible for Fabulous for 2015, got a great deal of negative surveys from pundits and fans when it was delivered. Also, it is truly reasonable where these reactions are coming from. It's just a disgrace that this film sets up a decent person developed for Reed Richards, Sue and Johnny Tempest, Ben Grimm and Victor Destruction. Yet not so much for Mr. Fabulous, Imperceptible Young Lady, Human Light, The Thing and Dr. Destruction as ordinary individuals. They have a decent person circular segment, yet when they get their powers, everything breakdowns. Likewise, the general execution of the plot is unremarkable and a few lines are messy. This can in any case be a pleasant film, be that as it may, you'll simply need to bring down your assumptions.